Okay guys, this is a video of how to vinyl wrap your car interior trim, or well, anything really that you want to trim. You can trim laptop cases, you could trim your phone cases, you could trim parts around the house, anything really. But today I'm going to show you this little piece. I chose this piece because it's going to be a little bit difficult. What with the square edges, small spaces, and then the circular as well. Things we'll need, of course, the vinyl wrap itself. I've just taken a delivery of this, £5.39 delivered. It's a 4D gloss, air-free carbon fibre vinyl. Real look. I got 300mm by 1.5 meters, and I went for a silver colour. It's massive, it will literally go off of the camera how big it is, and how wide it is. £5.39 delivered. You got plenty of attempts if you do make a mistake. Don't worry if you make a mistake. Mistakes are part of learning. So, a nice strong Stanley blade, and I've got a hot air gun, 2 settings. You can use a hairdryer. I've always in the past used a hairdryer. I actually do have another video which I've done around about a year ago, and a couple of the comments were, don't use a hairdryer, use a proper heat gun. So I think I paid £12 delivered, again from eBay. It was the cheapest one on there, but on a low setting, on a high setting, for what we want today, the low setting is fine, i.e. the hairdryer is fine, because the hot setting it'll just melt it and overdo it. But for today's task, low setting on a heat gun or a hairdryer, perfect. When you've taken your piece out of the car, make sure it is free of grease, dust, dirt, grime, anything. I'm working in my kind of workshop right now, but before I started this video, took it into the kitchen, covered it in washing up liquid to get off all the grease, and and then fully dried it. That's the second big recommendation, because the sticky the sticky back on this vinyl does not like a wet surface. So, and actually I use the high setting. That's probably the only time I will use the high setting today, is to kind of quick dry this, in all the nooks and crannies. Be careful, because it got scalding hot in just a few seconds. So here we go. One thing to consider is the vinyl, at least with the carbon, the lines go in one direction. So I'm going to be trimming various parts. This is for a Mark IV Golf, and this is kind of in the middle. There's a piece at the bottom, pieces down the sides, and in and above. So I will make sure that every time I'm going to trim using the piece this way, so that when you put it all together, all the lines match up. What you don't want to do is what I have done once in the past, when I trimmed an Audi A4, everything went the right way, and then just one little bit was going the other way, and it was an eyesore. So within a day I'd taken it off and redone it. So just double check that your vinyl, the carbon stripe, is going the right way before you attach it. So what we're going to do here then is just make sure that we've got plenty of material. I do have lots of material. I'll only need probably at maximum half of the material that I've got, so around about £2.50 worth used for this project. So you know, I'm not going to scrimp and save. I'm going to make sure I've got enough material cut here now. What you don't need, put it out of the way so it doesn't get damaged. Okay, so this is your piece you got. Again, it's just worth double checking that you're easily covered, and we sure are. Now we've got the piece down to a manageable size, it'd be worthwhile to just trim it so that we have around 1 centimetre overlap. The good thing about this, it's always got like a grid on the back, so you can kind of get your lines nice and easy. Double check. Keep these offcuts, you never know when they will come in handy. Okay, so we have the final trimmed down piece. So this is what we are going to work with. Thing to do now is just undo the back of the vinyl. Put the rubbish out of the way. Be careful with this, it is very sticky. Get it in position. What I'd like to do now is just put a little bit of heat on both surface and glue. Again, we just use low setting for this. Kind of grab it a couple of corners just with the sticky, and then we will gently place it on, making sure that you get your angles with your overlap. Before pressing it too hard, just lift the piece up, and then making sure it's all on nice and straight, which it is just hanging on there. And then again, you can now use the heat gun to basically just find the contours of the piece. see the vinyl now kind of, I guess, sagging where there's nothing to stick to and sticking to the piece. See, that's nice and soft, and this is where you can use your fingers. Be careful if it's too hot. Again, with mistakes, don't worry, we all make mistakes. Just rip it off and start again, or use the heat gun to kind of heat up the glue again, pull it off and start again. Simple as that. Now, the surface is good. There's no bubbles, there's no creases. We can see the outlines now of all the rings. It's just little, grabbed into the corners. And what we'll do is we put a little slit, like an X, and take it up to maybe 1/2 centimetre, which is, what's that in American? What is it? Is it two and a bit centimetres to an inch? So call it, a 2/8 gap, I think you guys would say. And then obviously, so let's just do that. So you see, compared to my finger, I do have chubby digits. Cut that to around, so you've got a nice gap. And then what we'll do is we'll actually cut the circle out. Again, trying to keep the same gap. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Order. So you got, from the other side, look, if I go close to the camera, I'm not sure whether it will, yeah, that's a good picture. You can see the kind of gap that you'd need. Remember, there'll be a switch through this, so, you don't need to worry about kind of how ugly it is on the back. And then, so let's now do the two big ones and this little one. I'll probably put a bit of a fast forward on this, just so you don't get bored. Okay, so the difference, well, I've just cut those. I'm not going to cut out a hole on this small piece. What I will do though is just put a couple of little angles just to help me kind of get into the corners. Right, next thing to do now is really to put a bit of heat on all these areas, and then just with the finger push it all around. Now if you did it without heat, you'll find that this will split and tear. With the heat, makes it very flexible, and it will be fine, trust me. So here we go. Let's start with this one first. A little bit of heat. And then the finger. See what I'm doing there? Just folding it round, simple as that. As you're doing it, if you need a little bit more heat, go ahead, there's no rush. And then you could even just go around with a fingernail, just to push it right around the back. Look at that, spot on, eh? Perfect. And if you look around the back, it's you know, it just kind of overlaps, just sticks around. What I would do is just keep an eye on it before you jump onto the next one, because whilst it's still warm, it can still move. Once it's cooled down, it's not going to move ever again. But I'm very happy on it. Let's move on to the next hole. Bring the heat. Now let's massage it down. That. Pretty special, eh? On to the last one. Just be careful you don't burn yourself like I just did, because it will get hot. Just pull this bit off. Okay. Right, so you see where that is stuck? You know, we don't want that to stick yet. Put a little bit of heat on it. And it will come off nice and easy. And well, and you see over here it's quite stiff, whereas here nice and loose. Okay. let's tackle this bit now. See, I wonder if you can see there is a tiny little kind of maybe air bubble. So let's see if we can get this out. A little bit of heat. And then just use, to be honest, just that little bit of heat has improved it, but just use the back of a finger now. And then there it goes. Come. Okay. So, final inspection of the rings. All very nice. Let's lastly get this. Although it's square, same method used. Only difference being, you know, if it was really small, you couldn't get a digit in there, you know, just find some kind of tool. But, you know, this is it's not too bad. And thankfully, it's got kind of rounded corners, which make life a little bit easier as well. And then just, you know, kind of force your finger in really. I want to put a little bit more heat into the corners to really get them in. Do one corner at a time. Obviously being careful that that's going to be warm. That one's nicely in. And that one is now. That one. Now that one. So, what do you think of that? Pretty happy. So next thing, let's do the well, the outside edges and corners. Just want to heat this side up so we can pull it off and stretch it out over. What I will do actually is just start from this corner as I'm pulling. I'll then pull. You can use some good strength to really pull it under, and then just push it under wherever you can. Doesn't need to. Obviously the sticky stuff will do its job. So, you know, just to do that a bit nicely. You get your steel sail. There's a bit of air in this part where it overlapped earlier on. So we'll heat this middle bit up, pull it off, stretch it over, just like this bit. Heat is your friend. Okay, so let's get to stretching. And then overlap on down here. Now I've got 3 little creases there, but that doesn't bother me, because this will be part of a panel, there'll be another panel, you know, just underneath here. What you cannot see can't harm you. So we've done this side, let's go back and do this side. This side's pretty good, but I want it better. Let's just really stretch it over. Just use your strength. It doesn't take a lot. And then, look at that. Looks like it was manufactured like that. Okay. Now here come the, I guess if you want to call it slightly trickier bits. But all we're going to do is pull. So on these parts we'll just flap it over as normal. On the edges we'll really kind of, you know, there's a lot of stretch in this material, so obviously you've got to make sure that you get the heat to it, because if you pull it, if it's cold, it will tear. So make sure it's got some heat to it, and then basically just pull it and then stick it, you know, on the underside. Hold the corner, wait until it cools down in your hand, you know, 10 seconds or so, and then move on to the next corner. So what we'll try and do is we'll do kind of like half of this edge in the corner, and then once that's dried on, this last half, and then this corner. So at first, bring the heat. Lap and pull. See how I did that? You can see really there in that excess material how much of I've pulled. So, you know, making sure that corner is straight, and then that one. Now that's actually done a little tear, but again, that's fine. It's going to be hidden with the other panels. Mistakes happen. That's the tiniest mistake you'll ever make, and only you will ever know it's there. So then hold this corner down. Give it 10 seconds or so. And that is nice, dry. A tiny little tear on the underside corner, but on the side, the corner that matters, perfect. Okay, let's do this corner. Overlap, grab the corner, pull, and pull. No tears this time, and then just hold it down until it cools off. There you go. You see the corner that's pulled on? And when that is in the car, that will be spot on. Perfect. Okay, just this last 2 corners to do. One last little check, making sure no bubbles, no creases, no tears, everything's pushed down in all the corners. That is spot on. Let's try it out in the car. Okay, so sitting in the car, and eventually I'll trim this part, the underneath part, tray, and also up here as well. But let's see how this fits. Just lining it all up. Push. Here you go. Compared to the wood, right? How much nicer does that look? Fill the corners. Perfect. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it helped you.